we don't have very much time for questioning. I would like to say that Mary Cloud's paper was vivid, and her beautiful metaphor of King's Chapel as a monstrance made of stone and stained glass window is one I remember very vividly, and thank you for that. And Hélène Suzanne, you gave us a bipartite presentation, just like Utopia, with the study of conscience in Erasmus, Luther, and Moore, and the selected beautiful statues and paintings and engravings of like Southern and Northern Renaissance. And William, you actually, all three people did send me their papers ahead of time, for which I'm very grateful. But William, you really clarified many subtleties in you did, in a very difficult topic, I would say, that you presented. Even the simple fact, which I don't think I had ever adverted to, if I knew, was that it was not a trial by jury, a heresy, it was a trial by a judge. I mean, what a difference that makes. And I think that we do have a few minutes for questions from the audience, which I think we would have. I want to give you a modest chance to ask any. It's always that frightening moment when the headlights go in your eyes and people ask you to ask questions. I think you explained, Bill, very well about why Moore went after this specialized angle of perjury.
Good. Yes. Yeah. It's an arrogant offense, and
because perjury is arrogant.
Perjury is arrogant.
Moore's attack is arrogant.
Yeah. Somebody. Michael Gray, in his book last year on oaths in the English Reformation, made the point that an oath is a conduit to God, and you are eliciting God's vengeance, asking for God's vengeance in case you lie under oath, and so that, I think, is the point I'm trying to stress here. It's the arrogance of the crime. It's the directness of the challenge to God's power of retribution that I think Moore has in mind here. Or as I said, I think it's plausible to read the thing this way. However, who knows what Moore was thinking, really. But at any rate, in more than once he makes this point about the uniqueness of perjury. It stands alone as among crimes for its seriousness. So it's an affront to God. It's an affront to the Almighty. Kind of scary. Yeah.
Yes.
Does this theory of juristic theology seem to impact in some way Moore's own defense of himself by virtue of conformity to conscience? Can we make a differentiation, obviously? Otherwise he's guilty of the crime that he's just... That it does apply there, because the law that he was being judged by was the law of England. The law that he was conforming to is the law of the church. In his mind, the law of the church was the higher, the higher law. And though by staying true to his own conscience, Moore violated the law of England, he did not violate that higher law, the law of the church. And as he explained more than once, I'm standing with many more people than are in England. My law is the law of more people than the English law is law of. The General Council of the Church is a higher council, more authoritative council than the Parliament of England. So he was obeying conscience and staying true to the higher law while violating the lower law.
would you like to add something to that?
No, I accept that. I mean, it's strange. Moore has had this role of being Lord Chancellor. He was the enforcer, so to speak, of the laws of England. And during his administration of enforcing the laws of England, he was enforcing laws that were both English and Catholic in terms of the church.
That's right.
And so that when he made that equality, when Henry offered his oath idea, it was suddenly seen that Moore is following, as you say, as you suggest, and I think it's a good point. He's following the general laws of Christendom.
Yes, yes, yes. I think so.
Yeah. Also, he didn't think that the law, that Parliament should have made that law. I mean, he felt it was not lawful.
Well, the 1534 Act of Succession, yeah, he did, and he very clearly distinguishes between good laws and bad laws. And speaking of the conscience, one is not bound by conscience to obey the law if it is a bad law,
Right.
which is what he considered the Act of Succession in 1534. Yes.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there's something I've never understood in this, that I don't know if we really even know what the oath was that Moore was supposed to subscribe to, because it didn't exist in a written form in the Act of Succession. And they talk about this oath, but it's not clear if the oath he was asked to affirm when he was in Lambeth was the oath that was later in the Act of Oaths.
Well,
Unless you know, I mean.
The oath he was asked to subscribe to at Lambeth was the same oath that had been given to members of Parliament when the Act of Succession was passed.
But do we know what that oath was?
Well, no, we not word for word, but and then, as you say, there was an act later in 1535 spelling out the language of the oath, but it was an enormous omission, a flagrant omission, for Parliament to omit the language of the word for word when they wrote the Act of Succession requiring an oath. And Eustace Chapuis, the imperial ambassador, made the point that if England's laws had any power, any enforceability, they wouldn't have to have an oath to obey the law.
That's right.
I see, waiting in the wings, people for the next session, but as, I think we were supposed to go to 3:45, 2:45, isn't that correct?
Oh.
Yes,
Yeah,
I want to say, it's a privilege of the chair, Elizabeth McCutcheon is going to give a talk in Washington next week on Moore's trial by jury. And would you give the reference to the book which has all these documents, the Brewer and the Boydell and Brewer book?
Oh.
You can buy it online for about $35 paperback. I'm not getting any commission. I just think it's a good book.
Here. It's called Thomas More's Trial by Jury, and then there's a subtitle that I have forgotten.
Well, anyway, all the documents.
It's edited by three people: Ansgar K. Kelly, a lawyer, and then Jerry Legemer. And in the back, they have 20 major documents. And that's not all. I mean, one would like more, because I don't know if they have the oath in the back, but it's very useful. They have whatever was in the bag of secrets. They have the indictment in Latin and in English. They have Spellman, they have Cole, they have Roper, and they have a modified Guildhall report, which Kelly feels is superior to the Paris newsletter.
All right. Well,
So, I mean, and that's just some of it. So there's stuff there that you, short of going to London and then spending years trying to find that stuff, you wouldn't have. And it's all been translated into English, which makes it even more useful.
It's complicated and it's hard.
It's so complicated, Bill. I mean, for me, I'm not a legal historian.
Yeah.
And the language of the time is foreign to begin with. And then it has to be almost translated into modern legal language so one can understand it. And I'm an innocent reporter on this.
I'm sure Elizabeth's paper will be eventually published.
I worked on the interrogations,
Yes.
which I think are very important for understanding the indictment. But I didn't do the actual trial, so I'm reporting
Oh.
on more than what I worked on.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.